Hey YouTube, I'm here. Welcome back to the SMDC. Time to show off the Basilisk today, my Broadside cruiser. This is it's actually a protected cruiser. It's not really a heavy cruiser, and it's not really a light cruiser. The thing is, you can call it a light cruiser because this is its main armament here. Identical on the bottom, by the way. Just a few CIWS dual light cannons, and these standard ship cannons, which aren't that strong, and there's only 6 of them. Okay, they're kind of big. They're not near as big as the Little Davids, but there's not a lot of them. There's 6 there. Drop down below, and there's 6 more there. On the this side, which you gotta remember, these ships, I will send it to you combined, and all you have to do to disconnect the 2 ships is break these blocks here in the middle. So that way when you're done, it'll look like this. You see the one miscolored block here and there. That's what you should have. And in the middle you see there's a handful of dual light cannons and CIWS on the side of the Basilisk near the connectors. Just CIWS with dual lights alongside with an oxygen farm. Excuse me. The front, a pair of CIWS with an oxygen farm. There's a couple of Aidens on this thing, a couple there and a couple more in the back. You can see it. But that's why you could call it a light cruiser, but you have to call it a heavy cruiser because of the heavy armor blocks that are on this thing. There's a lot of heavy armor and the additional firepower in between. Yeah. This is why you can call it a heavy cruiser, but it's not. What you have then is a protected cruiser, sort of like the St. Louis from World of Warships. It has a ton of weapons and a good amount of armor in key areas, but it's special. We're gonna call this thing a standard cruiser or a protected cruiser, one or the other, but it is not a heavy cruiser and it's not a light cruiser. So this is a protected or standard cruiser. Now you will be getting 2 ships, so bear that in mind, and just destroy that middle blocks and you get that. The interior is kind of confusing, but that's okay. We're gonna take a look at the this here is the setup for the bottom half. The top half is actually a little different than that. I cannot spawn it. Oh, wait. There we go. Place that. Okay, so this is the top half. The top half, as you can see here, you can tell where the Titan engine goes because it goes right here. So going forward, you have a empty area up there. You have I don't know why these empty areas are for actually, but you have the crew quarters here on the forward section going off of the other side because that's where the guns are. And you can see it's just in front of these 3 guns here is the crew section right here, the primary crew section. Get rid of this. That's a headache. Now you have this, which contains, well, shows off the rest. I actually remember what this empty area is for. We'll show that in a minute. But this doesn't even show everything. It just shows some of the hallways and the Titan engine sitting back there. Now you can see confusion with this, and that is the downside of this ship. It is confusing to move around. I'll leave that for now. Let's show the inside of it. Enter in from the forward airlock. a couple of signs to show it. There's a nice hallway that goes all the way to the rear airlock there. Go down here to this floor and go up to here, then go down to here, and you have the bridge, right? So from the airlock, you go down one, then up, then down one again, and you get to here. Now if you go down again, this is the other side, or the bottom, and this is just a passageway that leads from the front of the ship to the back. So now if you go down here, you see there's the lower bridge. There are two bridges on this thing, upper and lower. If you go down here, you have food area that way, and through here, through an airlock, it says the bridge is there. This is another way to the bridge. Over here is one of the jump drives. Yes, one of the jump drives, but that is access to the jump drive. And you should have okay, so now going through here, which right by the bridge there, going through here, past here, going down leads you to this. I don't know why the oxygen is not working. It should be vented just fine. Oh, that's why. Alright, change that. Is that on the other one? I forgot to check if it was actually functional. Of course it did. I apologize. I'm not gonna send an incomplete ship. One. Two. I'm gonna be double checking that then. So we'll go over this later. We'll show this off first. Where was I? Leave. Here we are. Are we? No. Yeah, this is one over. Okay. So this is the lower crew area. One of them at least. And this is the upper one, which is where you go if you go up. Now back to the bridge. Where's the bridge? Here we are. Yeah, you should have noticed this. Some coffee with some beds. Go to here. Again, so I forgot to show that, sorry. Going back down, you have to go back across. You actually, this is the only way to get to the front of the ship through here, and the crew quarters. To get to the rest of the ship, you actually have to go back to this hallway. I believe I'm confusing myself. No, I'm not. So go here, go to the back, you have the rear jump drive. There are two jump drives on this thing. Now I'm trying to remember how to get to that middle hallway. How about I cheat? Where am I? Alright, how do we get to here? It is a confusing ship. Oh yeah, the front. I remember. Yes, it's right next to the bridge. Go from the bridge up here, and there's the upper bridge. Through this door, you have this hallway which shows cargo containers. It shows a gravity generator, a turret. So, and it just leads through all of these here, which goes by the 6 gyros, 6 of the big gyros, all the way to the back here. And you can go up, which leads to nothing. It's literally just nothing there. Or you can go down, which will lead you to the Titan engine and the rear cockpit with the beacon. This is the emergency cockpit, just in case. I was enjoying that on my ship. Having an emergency cockpit. The top one doesn't. I filled that in. It was literally, this is all that's left of it, just an empty hole. So yeah, it's filled in. But you get to there from the main bridge. You gotta go a ways though, so yeah. It's kind of confusing to get around this thing. And you can see that hallway here leading from the main bridge, which is here, all the way back past everything to the Titan engine. So yeah, I don't know others. So the one jump drive will be located here. The other jump drive is located back here. Right here. This is the other jump drive. And as you can see by looking at this, there's a set of oxygen tanks hiding right there. Middle of the ship, next to the Titan engine. That's where the oxygen tanks are. Now, I believe you can see there's a huge amount of cargo containers and batteries hiding throughout the ship. There should also be some oxygen generators somewhere. I can't remember where though, but they're somewhere. But this is the main point of the ship. All these weapons. I don't know. Okay. So, button 2 should fire the rockets. Yeah. You can see a pretty big amount of rockets on this thing. And they're reloading. So that's the rocket launchers, which won't be hitting the little Davids unless you're spinning. And speaking of the little Davids, well, there's a lot of them. And they're definitely gonna hurt. They do kick the entire ship though, so bear that in mind. They kick it about a meter or so to the side. This segment, this is the left, there's the right. It weighs 10,178,076 kilograms. 305 thrusters, 66 gyroscopes, 144 batteries. Button 1 and 2 are your main weapons. Button 3 is 4 and 5 are for the idle movement of your other weapons. Button 6 is the front camera. Button 7 is the connector camera. Button 8 is the gun camera. Button 9 is the top camera, which is located by the upper connector. There is a lower connector, however I only have the camera by the upper connector for reasons. Now there is a second page which shuts off these thrusters. This is for when you've connected the ship, and I completely forgot the piston. I'll be putting that in the final version before I forget. So button 4 on here will extend the pistons, which this is designed for you to connect the two ships together. You extend the two pistons all the way. Use your camera. You can disable the side lights, by the way, but don't do that. So you extend all the pistons completely. Then you connect the two halves of the ship, disable these thrusters, and pull the pistons back together. Don't hit the connector. That will disconnect it. Or lock it. So actually, yeah, lock it down. And then you're good. So, I'll be throwing that in. But I'll make sure everything else is good. Now, how about maneuverability of each ship? We'll turn that back on. Let's find out. First off, it zips around. It is insane for maneuverability. A little too much, one might say. So I'm going to be throwing on something else as well. For when you need to have finesse control, you can just shut them all down. Because if not, it looks like that, which is silly. So your finesse control is like that. There's your basic control with a lot of other gyros. And there's your knot. So reverse thrust, it's going to take it a minute to slow down. Going left, it'll take it a little bit. Going right, same thing. Up and down will take a minute. What is not going to take a minute is forward thrust. Stopping is actually going to take a while, so you might want to just whip the whole thing around and stop using that Titan engine on the back. The whole point is to get in quick, do a ton of damage, and get out. Get in, do damage, get out. You're done. That's how it's designed. I think I've added too many gyros though. Feel free to customize this thing if you want. Now, another thing is what happens when they're connected. Well, I gotta double check everything and then I'll take a look. Right. So, when combined, 20,535,000. I have made minor modifications because the stopping power was down. You gotta be careful when they're connected. I highly recommend turning off the gyroscopes, which I have it set for most of them now, but not all of them, so you still have some maneuverability. But the change I made was, as you can see, I've added a huge amount of thrusters up front. Because, yeah. Now, when they're connected, this is only when they're initially connected. Not when they are, not when they are divided, then reconnected after a while. And that is a ton of stuff. That's my frame rate. Yeah. I'm having difficulties with everything. But this thing is pretty darn big. Now where I'm sitting is where the cameras will be, and I can't even remember where I'm sitting. Over here? Yeah, there I am. Hello. What happened to Master Chief? Oh, it's a New World, that's right. That would so hurt. If you want to connect these and keep them connected, you may. Just remember, turn off these side thrusters and add more of those. And then you can have two ships connected the whole time, and you can disconnect them somehow later. I don't know. But how's this combo move? Well, at 18 frames a second, forward is going to be exactly what you expect. Now with only two main gyros on, they're still highly maneuverable. But with the rest, they're just ridiculous. So bear that in mind. Whoop. That was so hurt. So yes, highly maneuverable, and with this, some of the main gyros will stay online on each ship, so you don't break. That is so gonna hurt. You'll leave those on. Get me out of here. Let's see if I remember how to do. So this is how you get out of the ship from the cockpit. forward, you're gonna have to use your jetpack a lot in here. But yeah. Oops. Going up. Over. And up. And okay. And here we are. You're definitely gonna have a tough time trying to take one of these things down because of how quickly it can whip around on you. Then again, that could be a bad thing. So, the Basilisk, left and right. Quite an interesting ship. That looks like a good screenshot right there. I'll get y'all later. Basilisk. And can somebody please comment on what version of the large crucible they think would be a good idea from the other video? Please, thank you. The one titled, I Need Help. Okay?